the staple of consistency within the AFC North, that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. 17 years under Mike Tomlin, never a losing record, never less than 8 wins.
You add Patrick Queen there over from your division rival. You take a look at that offensive line, which does have some question marks, but still a decent wide receiving core that they have, a running game that has Najee Harris, and a quarterback that's been there, done that.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are you at in terms of a starting lineup? What you want to see from Team USA?
I think he'll get guys involved, and then there's your lockdown defender at the point guard, the point of attack, right? I do like Curry. I would then go with Ant. I like Ant over Booker. I think if you look at the way the Canada game was, they looked kind of slow starting, and then they kind of got rolling.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
He talked about Major League Baseball and its rule, or actually its relationship with sports betting and gambling.
Integrity is the foremost concern, and a lot of people are questioning that given all the scandals, right? There's Mercado, there's Pat Hoberg, one of the best umpires in MLB, suspended right now. We don't exactly know what he did, but he's been disciplined, and he hasn't umpired a game this year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Your mustache is falling.
Mustache is falling off. It's got to go. Ski's got another strikeout there. I don't want to take it. As soon as I take it off, they're going to give up a run. I'm trying to keep it on until he comes out of the game. It's all over the place. Come on. I'm superstitious.
He's got 10. He's got 10 Ks.
He's cruising. Wow.
They pulled Skeens, by the way.
Yeah, they pulled him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
So, what do you think of that number in that game against Serbia, Carver High? Coach said he's going to in-game it. Are you scared of 12 and a hook against Joker and the Serbs?
I am not scared of the 12 and a hook against Joker and the Serbs. In fact, I think that they're going to smash them just like they did in the exhibition game. I've been a believer all along. I've said this to you. Are they messing around, or do they not care yet? I think Sunday is going to be the true marker of whether or not they care. And I expect that to completely happen. Now, if they play on Sunday like they did in these other games, then fine, I'll get off it. I'm not gonna lay any heavy numbers with them anymore. But I truly believe they're gonna come out and they're gonna smash on Sunday against Joker.
So, do you think there's a sense of that? You had said before on the show that you felt like they weren't trying or what have you. Now that it's for real, you think they're going to come out and go all out?
Yeah, I think that that's precisely what they're going to do. I think that this has been more getting used to each other, getting acclimated. I don't think they cared very much about the exhibition games. They'll come out on Sunday, and in those other games, this is their toughest group game is Sunday. Then they play, and I know they struggled with South Sudan. I don't expect them to do that the second time around. We will get back to more of that. Yes,
I just wanted to say before you take it over with Smiley, great job on the Open Championship, Smiley, on the course. You're a badass. Great coverage on the course. I loved every minute of it. Keep it up, bro.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it, my man.
There is Smiley Kaufman, of course, is with us here on C2C. Catch the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid. And Smiley, good to see you again, my man. And I think we have to start there, as Ferrall was just saying. You did a great job out there. I want you to tell me which day was the worst. Let's be fair. I thought Sunday clearly was the nicest day out of the four. Was it Friday or was it Saturday where you were standing out there and you're just like, man, I can't wait to get in the clubhouse? Which day was it, Friday or Saturday?
Listen, everybody knows they're hardcore golfers at their country clubs. And the guys that'll be out there in the 40 degrees and playing in the rain, I'm telling you, even those guys wouldn't have wanted to play on Saturday. That's how bad Saturday really was. For me being out there, it was raining start to finish. It was blowing. Gosh, it got on the back nine, probably blowing a really stiff, consistent 20 miles an hour, which is just insane how with the temperature and the rain, visibility was low. and it was cold on top of that. So Saturday, 1,000%. Those leaders like Shane Lowry starting the day with a 3 or 4 shot lead, I think it was. It was just really difficult to make pars. It was like 6 par 5s. It felt like on the backside.
And that had to probably make it even more fun for you, because I believe on Saturday, the worst day is when you had Rose and Horschel that you were following around. So to be with 2 grizzled veterans of the PGA Tour and of golf and of major championships and playing all these, and watching them play in those conditions, Horschel throwing the hat backwards on a couple of those holes, like that, I thought that you did have the fun. Listen, everybody was having a tough time out there. But the interesting and fun group to follow on Saturday was Rose and Horschel.
Yeah, I didn't expect it going into the day, right? I mean, it just felt like, especially the coverage over on that side of the pond typically really lends itself to the Europeans. And, I got Billy Horschel, Justin Rose, who, is in the part of his career I think would be on the backside of it. But the golf that these 2 guys played, insane. Justin Rose felt like every single shot that he hit that day, he wasn't going to hit a shot until he was ready. It just showed the commitment, the dedication, and just how meticulous he was in his process to make sure he wasn't pulling the trigger until he was ready. And Billy Horschel, my goodness, it was so fun to watch a guy like Billy who, he has not had the major career that I wish he wished he probably did have. Really, I don't think any top 10s heading into the Open Championship, where he ended up finishing in the top 3. So a huge week for Billy. I think it proved a lot to himself that he's, capable to win a major championship, even at this part of his career.
We're talking with Smiley Kaufman. Of course, you can catch the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid a couple times a week. Great stuff as always. Smiley, the beginning of this year, everybody talked about Xander Schauffele, and is he finally going to win a major? Is he finally going to win big ones? Is he going to do that? He not only wins 1, Smiley, but now having 2 in the same year, some rarefied names that he is with in that club of 2 majors in the same year. Your thoughts on Xander's performance this past weekend at Royal Troon?
It's what really good players do, the elite players, which is having the ability on a week in which the weather was the story. Thursday, Friday, the wind blowing like crazy. He was in, I would say, the draw that was not the easier of the draws. But still, he was able to hang around, and he knows exactly what a good score was that day. Never got too out of touch of the leaders, and was able to then have a Sunday where the weather finally turned, like you mentioned, Mike, where he had an opportunity to hit some shots, make some putts. And for a while on Sunday, it felt like we didn't know who was going to win. It was like the whole week, you felt like, oh, it was going to be Shane Lowry's event. It just kept rotating guys. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, Xander Schauffele's going to win. Oh, and by the way, it's over. And that's how quickly it felt like it was for Xander Schauffele.
It felt like, Smiley, the turning point was when he hit that ball out of the deep stuff on 11, right? Like when he was 100%. Off to the left on 11, that had to be where you thought Xander's going to win. When he stuck that on the flag from that deep stuff.
Yep, 100%. That's a great call, because 11th hole was the story of the week. Even going into it, we knew exactly what that 11th hole was going to be, and then we had the perfect weather for it for viewers and for commentators, not necessarily for players, because it was wreaking havoc all week, and he was able to pull a wedge from 173, stick it, make birdie, then goes on to win. But to answer your original question about Xander in 2 majors, he's in rarefied air. I mean, he's a player that we've been waiting for the breakout. And, we always seem to say, and whether it's golf or other sports, that they just need to win one and then the floodgates will open. And most of the time it never happens. Like that win and then the floodgates actually open. It actually feels like that's the case with Xander Schauffele. It feels like the floodgates are open when his stuff is on, which, by the way, he's always on. He always makes cuts. He's always in the top 20. So for a player that knows how to hang around and be inside the top 10, it's scary now that he knows how to win. So he's getting better and better each year. His speed is up. His ability to be pretty much elite across the board is you could put against anybody. I'm taking Xander Schauffele over everybody, even Scotty Scheffler, because Xander's a much, much better putter, I feel like, than Scotty, or at least a more consistent one.
And I think that's going to be the talk now, right, Smiley, as we get towards the end of the year. Now, we still have a couple, 10 flag events to go here. We got the gold medal next week in France. We have the FedEx Cup Championship when we get through the playoffs. But 2 majors for Xander, 6 wins and a major for Scotty, including a bunch of big elevated events. Your player of the year right now. Who is it?
You know what? I think it's going to come down to Tour Championship. And if you'd have told me going into the year that it was going to be anybody other than Scotty, I would have told you you're crazy. But, when you win 2 major championships, that to, I think, a lot of the players is going to be a huge difference, because 2 majors in 1 year is, like I said just a moment ago, it's rarefied air. So you got to see how Xander finishes the year off. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. Who of the 2 maybe wins a gold medal? But if Xander wins a gold medal or Scotty wins one, I think that could maybe change the conversation a bit.
30 seconds left, Smiley. 60-man next week in that gold medal competition. Anyone you have an early look at in France for the gold, outside of Scheffler and Schauffele?
Oh, gosh. I know the golf course. We're familiar with it from the Ryder Cup. I think you have to start with those 2 guys. But why don't we circle back next week, and I'll have another name for you.
We'll do that, Smiley. Great job, as always. Good to be home and dry after your week at Royal Troon. Smiley Kaufman, check out the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid. We're back coast to coast after this.
I would imagine if you think the salaries are big now, what kind of salaries are we looking at on an 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal?
This deal puts so much more money in the owners and the players' hands. Folks, this is about national media rights. So you're going to have more national appearances than ever.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they can fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they've shown they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is 1 game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, the BetMGM first bet offer $1,500 once again proving its dominance. They're handing the torch off and running the torch at the Olympics to light the Olympic flame, and it's just an unbelievable scene. And then the reviews came in, and it still said BetMGM's first bet $1,500 took better numbers, better ratings, better fan approval than the Olympics. It's unbelievable. There was like everyone watching the Olympics, and then everyone just cascading over it with BetMGM's first bet 1,500. It's just unbelievable. How do you get it? 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM app on iOS or Android, or go to BetMGM.com. 2, open an account, put $10 in it. You're off and running. 3, place your first wager up to $1,500. And if that wager loses, they're going to put $1,500 in bonus bets right into your account after that loss, right? So 4, if the bet loses, your bonus bets will be available once the initial wager is settled. You're going to love it. The first bet, $1,500 at BetMGM. It's better than all other books, and it's better than the Olympics.
It is better than that. I agree with you. You need to be getting involved, that's for sure, especially with the Olympics starting and all the taters and the football. Everything is happening for us, that's for sure. All right, I have a lot of stuff. Let's go here. The Chargers, of course, opened up camp like everybody else this week, Scotty, and they now have Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. To say that Jim is excited about the start of a new football season would be an understatement. Let's see how he framed it the other day at the first day of camp.
Just the way it feels, feels like New Year's Day, feels like being born. Feels like coming out of the womb, it's like you're in there and it's comfortable and it's safe, and now you're out, you're born, the lights are on, it's bright, got chaos, people looking at you, people talking at you, and just feels good to have it happen.
What just happened to my day? Everything was fine. I woke up in a good mood.
I don't know, but they're born. They're ready to go out in Los Angeles for the Chargers season. Next,
he's a weird dude, man.
He's a weird dude. We'll go to Cincinnati next. We got a look the other day at Joe Burrow's new haircut. Now we'll get an even better look at it as he talks about this upcoming season. Joe is very confident, and he's ready to get even better and maybe actually practice this year at training camp. He's missed like the last 4 with various injuries. Hopefully he makes it through this one. Here's Joe.
I know I'm pretty damn good. I have been. Going to continue to improve year to year, day to day, and I think that's how you have to approach it. I'm focused on continued improvement, and I'm really happy with the offseason that I have. I'm really happy to have this training camp to continue to hone my skills and improve and build this team chemistry for this run we're about to
Looks
go
like
on.
Eminem.
He does.
Like, honestly,
that's
I don't know
precisely who he looks like. Man.
I don't know what's happened to him. Like he
wanted
really...
to change things up. He wanted to change things up. He said he was bored.
Well, he said
I
he
guess
was bored, but honestly,
he was bored after cutting the back out of his suit over at that other thing he was at earlier in the summer. So he wanted to get more excited. The fashion show that he was at. He's actually got a bigger problem than his hair. Jamar Chase sat out practice for the second straight day. He ain't practicing, Scotty, until he gets money. And we played that clip, or some of that clip of Mike Brown the other day. He ain't paying him anytime soon, it sounds like. So Jamar's going to have some decisions to make at some point on whether. Now, to be fair, Scotty, I'll say this. I saw his base salary this year is like $1.2 million or something like that, or between 1 and 4 he gets with a sign. He's grossly underpaid considering the rest of the wide receivers in the league. But I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles when you sign your rookie deal, right?
Well, if he's making that little amount of money, I would not go anywhere near their training camp until Brown gives me the bag, because he's the best player on the team. And Brown even said so. He's like, we have Joey Silk and we have Chase. That's our guy. Well, pay him then. It's that simple.
If you want it to be that way, you got to pay him.
They didn't want to pay T. Higgins either. They don't want to pay anyone in Cincinnati. Well, you know what they are?
They're going to let T go after this year.
I mean, look, they're all drowning in money, including Mike Brown, but he plays like he's broke. He's like the Rooneys. They play like they don't have any money, and they're not fooling me.
They're not fooling anybody. Last week we did that story about the anonymous executive who said, what did he say again about Josh Allen, Scotty? That he's overrated, overhyped. Bills general manager Brandon Beane was asked about that anonymous executive quote this week at camp. What did he have to say?
Sal, there's idiots everywhere.
Right?
I don't know. I till you put your name on it, I don't know. I I think he's done plenty. But I think part of it, Sal, truthfully, is there are people that did not. We all are well aware when Josh came out. There are people that thought he was a bust or would not make it for all the reasons that they've listed over the years. And I just think anytime someone thinks they got a crack, they're going to say, "See, I told you so."
Yeah, there's no cracks in his game. He takes some risks, and you know what? Great quarterbacks don't. I'm scared to death of that guy. You play Josh Allen, you got a problem on your hands every week. That's all that matters. All this other rhetoric, and there's nothing quite like not putting your name on something. I'll only say it with anonymity. I mean, it's ridiculous. If what's the point of saying anything if you don't put your name on it? The fact that people ran with this story and made it an issue and even brought it up to being is embarrassing.
Indeed. Jalen Hurts trusts Nick Sirianni to lead the Eagles in the right direction. I hope so. He's the head coach. Despite hiring Ken Dorsey as his offensive coordinator, Kevin Stefanski will still call the plays for the Cleveland Browns. So much for Ken having some power. Raiders rookie Trey Taylor trolls Patrick Mahomes with the Kermit doll at training camp. I saw Mahomes this morning, Scotty. You know what he said? He said, It'll get handled. So bad news for the Raiders when they play the Chiefs this year. Good job, kid.
You know, it's so funny to me how every year we go through this Raiders nonsense. They don't matter.
If you think the salaries are big now, what kind of salaries are we looking at on an 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal?
This deal puts so much more money in the owners and the players' hands. Folks, this is about national media rights. So you're going to have more national appearances than ever.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they showed they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is one game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't know what that thing is that they lit, Carver High, but they lit this giant balloon with the torch, and the bottom, the base of the balloon is a giant fire, and then there's these wires going up to this giant balloon, and it's floating away. It's just floating away into the sky with the Olympic torch and the fire, and Celine Dion singing and at the Eiffel Tower. There's so much going on around me. I'm almost confused. Like they lit the thing and then it flew off to space. And I'm wondering if they're going to light another one. Is there like another torch that's going to be lit during the games, or is the one that flew off into space going to represent the torch and the flame? It's on a giant balloon. I have no idea how it's flying either, and it's on fire and it's raining. I have no idea. They fooled me.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is you can circle back to it tonight on the tape delay if you want. You can get another look at it and see how they did it all.
She's doing well, Celine Dion, and she has like the sticky syndrome thing going.
Yes.
And she's apparently winning that battle because she's not only doing a stirring performance here at the Olympics in a white gown and diamonds, but she will also be starting a residency in Vegas at Resorts World. So she apparently is doing much better and is not like the doomsday. They were talking doomsday for Celine Dion. What a comeback.
It's nice to finally get some positive information about someone for a change instead of all the negative stories that we do.
Comeback player of the year, Celine Dion over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, plus 510 over at BetMGM right now. Basketball starts this weekend. Of course, all the Olympic stuff starts this weekend. USA and Serbia on Sunday, their first game. You talked about it with Coach. It's 12.5 and it's 180.5. I'm going to lay it, Scotty, as I said to you before. We're going to lay it with the United States.
God, I'm under such a tremendous strain here. I want the U.S. to cover that big fat piece, but I just think the game's going to be better than 12.5.
Highest scoring member of Team USA in the entire Olympics. I wanted to get this to you before they start as well. Steph Curry at plus 250. Anthony Edwards, LeBron, Durant, and Anthony Davis all there at the top. I've got some other deep shots if you want them.
I want deep shots. Halliburton.
Halliburton is 70-1 to have the most points at the Olympics. He's the longest
Tatum.
shot.
What is Tatum?
10-1. Just missed that board. He's 10-1.
Just missed the board. I'll go a low of Tatum and a high of Halliburton.
There you go. Of course, there are other games this weekend in that men's Olympic competition with a lot of players who you, of course, know very well. Australia and Spain will get it going. How about this, Scotty? You can get a little rack at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning with Australia and Spain if you want. 5 a.m. on the East Coast for that one, with Spain getting 4.5. Germany laying 19.5 against Hachimura and Japan. France and Brazil, France laying the 10.5. You have Greece with Giannis getting 7.5 against Canada. That's 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, East Coast time. And then the other game on Sunday, Scotty, I don't think it's before the U.S. game, is that Puerto Rico-South Sudan game.
Well, I think Sudan will beat Puerto Rico outright. Canada will cover. France will cover. I think Japan will cover the 18.5 with Hachimura and Watanabe. And then I like Australia laying 4.5 against Spain.
There you go. That is the men's basketball competition, which, of course, starts this weekend. The women start on Monday. We will discuss more then, but they're going to smash everybody, so there's not much to say. One signing today, actually two. Killian Hayes, 1-year deal to the Nets. So, of course, he leaves the Pistons. And I did see that the Nuggets made it official with Russell Westbrook for a 2-year deal, Scotty, at like $18 million or something like that. So they gave Russ a few dollars to go to Denver there.
So, did you see Zach Eflin ended up with the Orioles from the Rays?
I just saw that too. So the Rays, they're taking it down. I mean, everything's must go. They want to get ahead of this by Tuesday. They traded Rosarena last night. They trade Eflin this afternoon. Orioles have made a couple moves now, getting some arms with Eflin and Dominguez. So everybody's starting to get themselves in order ahead of the trade deadline, Scotty. When we come back, I want to get through some of these Big Ten coaches with you, including the new head coach in Indiana, Kurt Zignotti, when we come back.
would imagine if you think the salaries are big now, what kind of salaries are we looking at on an 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal?
This deal puts so much more money in the owners and the players' hands. Folks, this is about national media rights. So you're going to have more national appearances than ever.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they showed they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is one game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High, Big Ten coach is speaking at their Speak Week.
Yep, yesterday wrapped up Big Ten Media Week in Indianapolis. This was the last group of coaches that got to speak, including a couple of the new ones in the conference. Dan Lanning from Oregon, they come over. Lots of expectations, of course. One of the favorites to not just win the Big Ten, but maybe win the national championship. Here is Lanning with a much better introduction to his team to the Big Ten than the one we saw from Deshaun Foster yesterday.
Ultimately, what should the Big Ten know about Oregon? That we're mighty different. Mighty different in a lot of ways. You look out there in the pond, you'll see a big old duck. I'm hoping we get to travel that duck to all of our away games this year. Right? We're mighty different when it comes to the jerseys you might see us wear or the facilities that we get to be in, and we're innovative. And we've always been on the cutting edge of everything we do. We're certainly positioning ourselves to be in the cutting edge, and we're grateful for the opportunity to compete in the Big Ten. Excited about this opportunity in front of us, and excited to see what this team does. It's a brand new team. It's not the same new team as last year. On our team right now, there's 10 players that were on this team when I first got here, so you're talking about a new group. And these guys have completely bought in. Excited to see them perform. I know they're anxious to get on the field, but there's a lot of work between now and then before we do that.
Well, we'll see with their stud quarterback if they can live up to all these lofty expectations. I mean, people have them going deep in a playoff run and a possible shot at a national championship. I think their big game is that game against Ohio State at Outson. You beat them, and you should run the tables if you beat them.
You would think so. Next, big changes at Michigan, of course. They are the defending national champions, but gone is Jim Harbaugh. Gone is most of the offense, including quarterback J.J. McCarthy. In is Sharon Moore. He, though, expects to keep the same high standards that Harbaugh had, Scotty. Here he is.
Win the big games, beat our rivals, beat Ohio State. Win the Big Ten, go to college football playoff, and win it. For us, that's something we strive to do. Tough, smart, dependable, relentless, enthusiastic, and together is how I describe our team. We're going to do everything we can to strive for perfection. Everything we do every day is a process, and we'll continue to strive to do that. And we'll continue to do that with contagious enthusiasm, unknown to mankind.
Unknown to mankind.
I won't deny it's a power, and they get great players, and they win titles. They just did. So, and I think he did a really good job coaching them when Harbaugh was suspended twice. So I think he's a good coach, and we'll see if he can do it. I don't know if you can lose the players that they lost to the NFL and then just immediately be great again. With incoming and transfers, et cetera, or backups and what have you. We'll see. Like Morency said on the show today, he loves this team. He thinks they're going to be great. And I don't. I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think they're winning the Big Ten. And I think that they had their moment in the sun. And they won it all. And then everybody left for bags of money and riches. And now they're, I think, starting over a little bit. And I think that he can build it back up. And I think they'll always be good. They'll always be Michigan. So Michigan's always tough. But it doesn't mean they're winning it all again and winning the Big Ten and all the rest. I think there's better teams in the Big Ten this year than Michigan.
No, I think that they fall back a bit as well. I think it's a 7 or an 8 win football team this year. I don't think it's a 10, 11, 12. I just think they're going to take a couple of steps backwards. And not saying this guy can't do it. All right, here we go. Curt Cignetti, of course, is the new head coach in Bloomington at Indiana. Now, we saw earlier in the week they were picked, what was it, second to last, third to last at the bottom. Curt is used to that in some of his past stops, and he has always come out on top. He plans to do that at Indiana, too.
Now, I can tell you, normally at these things I stand up here and we're picked to win the league. Just usually how it's been. I have been picked next to last twice, which we're picked 17th out of an 18-team league, and I get it. The 2 times we're picked next to last, in 2022 we won the conference championship, and in 2017 we inherited an 8-45 team and won 8 in a row and played JMU the last game of the year for the conference championship. Now, I'm not into making predictions. That's just a historical fact. Okay? So, I know you guys have been waiting for me to say something crazy. That wasn't quite crazy.
I like that. Look, I really like the stones on this guy that he came out and said that. Like, no one's ever picked me before. We always are going to suck and everything else, and then I go out and I win. So there's no denying that he can coach. There's no denying that he's won. There's no denying that he's had great football teams. So let's see him do it in Indiana, where they have sucked in football since 1967 when they went to the Rose Bowl. They went to the Rose Bowl once, and they have sucked monkey onions every year since. I don't even care. When they were good, they weren't good. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, look at Indiana's having a really good season. No, they aren't. Even when they were good, they weren't. They just have never been good in football. I swear to God, I went to school there for 5 years, and here's how many football games I went to. I mean, I'm not walking around a corner to watch Indiana play football. I went there for Bob Knight and basketball, and I saw him win the national championship live at the Superdome. So I knew what I was doing when I went to Indiana. And I also did soccer, and they won 3 national championships when I was there. I'll tell you what, football, no one cares. Like, you couldn't even get me to go to a tailgate party at a football game there. I wouldn't even go to a homecoming game if somebody wrote me a check for $10,000 to make an appearance. Honestly, I went back this year to that little 500. I told you I left after the 40th lap. I wanted to kill myself. It was so boring. Honestly, with all those hillbillies. You can quote me on that, too. I loved it when I went there. When I went back as an old man, I was bored to death. I was like, Jesus, somebody, get me to the bar. Honestly, it was so boring.
I think he's a really good coach. He's a good motivator, and I think he's going to get Indiana from the 15 to 18 range in that conference to the 8 to 11 range. I think he's going to move him up a couple rungs. Maybe not all the way to the top, but I think he's going to move him up a couple rungs in the Big Ten. All right, I only got a minute here. I want you talked about Jed Fish yesterday. How about Fran Brown? Can you skip down to that? Syracuse football has not been good in a very long time, but Fran Brown, Scotty, is the new head coach there, and he plans on changing things at Syracuse University.
Yeah, I just want to win. I want to win. I want to make sure that Syracuse gets back to where they belong, where it was, where football kind of started at, in my opinion. You're going back to Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, Rob Zonka, all those guys that played, Tom Coughlin, those guys that played there. I want to get back to those same eras that 1959, 1987 team. Didn't get in a chance when Pasqualoni took over, when you had Donovan McNabb and Dwight Freeney, Marvin Harrison, Donovan Darius, all those guys. It was important to me to be able to get us back into that same era. So it's like a nonstop race for us to make sure that we actually continue to go and try and accomplish greatness.
Yeah. Well, I'll give him this. At least he remembered all their names, but they suck in football too.
It's been a long time for Syracuse football.
They've had tons of great players.
He rang off all the names, but even those names were all a long time. Even Donovan McNabb and Marvin Harrison now, Scotty, have been a long time ago.
Even when they were good, they weren't good.
Right.
This is a new phrase on this show. You're about teams that never win, and then they have a good season. Everybody thinks they're good. They're like, you still aren't that good. You're good, and you're not good. You're just not that good.
That good. It's Syracuse. They're gonna go 5-7, 6-6, like they always do.
Are they even a basketball school anymore?
No.
I would imagine if you think the salaries are big now, what kind of salaries are we looking at on an 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal?
This deal puts so much more money in the owners and the players' hands. Folks, this is about national media rights. So you're going to have more national appearances than ever.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they can fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they showed they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is one game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's bring Mafia in now to talk about UFC 304 in Manchester. Brian Ciano with us. Maf, I want to start with the timing of this card, that it's at 10 o'clock tomorrow night, normal time here in New York. But right. For the fighters, it's not normal at all. Those last 2 title fights on that card, and they are title fights. You've got Edwards Muhammad at welterweight for Edwards' belt. and you've got the heavyweight title fight, Aspinall and Blades. That'll go off at around 5 in the morning in Manchester, and the main event will go off at 6 in the morning in Manchester. I mean, you got to be kidding me. What does that do to these fighters?
Yeah, I mean, luckily, I think a lot of them have prepared for it early on. I mean, the U.S. fighters you would think would have a big advantage in that then because it's normal time for them, although I'm sure once they got over to the UK, they have to go do press at a different time. You got to go do weigh-ins, so that might throw them off. I don't know if they adjusted that schedule for them so that it kind of matched all the way, but it's weird. Usually when you have these fights overseas, you get them in the middle of the afternoon, early evening, things like that, where, at least over in the U.S., where it's normal time over there. I don't know if it's just because they realize that most of the pay-per-view audience is from North America and they want to bring that money in. I don't know if it's they don't want to compete with the Olympics. I don't know what it is going on, but for some reason, like you said, 5, 6 a.m., they're going to be doing these, top 2 fights. It's just ridiculous. But I've seen a bunch of the fighters talking about it and how they've worked on it. Like Edwards was saying, he talked to a doctor that was big into, sleep and nutrition, things like that. And he said, just adjust it slightly. So over the course of the camp, he's been doing like moving it up an hour each day. So it gets closer and closer instead of just completely flipping his schedule all at once. But you got to think it's going to be weird for a lot of these guys, and girls fighting on this card to be going off at 5 and 6 a.m.
So let's break down that main event of Edwards and Muhammad first.
Yeah, this is a rematch. These guys fought a couple of years ago. It was a no contest because of an accidental eye poke on Muhammad. There's a lot of bad blood between these two because Edwards thinks Muhammad should have been able to go and keep going to the fight. He didn't. Muhammad thinks that he should have gotten a rematch right away with Edwards. He didn't. In fact, Edwards went on to go and fight for the title and eventually win it against Usman. So, these guys do not like each other. There's been video throughout the week of them running into each other in the hotel, even to the point of one time they're in the elevator at the same time with all their teams. So it's very awkward. These two guys, Muhammad 14-3 in the UFC, 9-0-1 in the last 5.5 years. That one is the only blemish on his record. That's that no contest because of the eye poke. He's more a guy that smothers you and picks you apart. He's not a guy that's going to get the finish. He's going long. He's going to a decision. Edwards, 14-2 in the UFC, 12-0-1 in his last 8.5 years fighting in the UFC. People know him from the Usman knockout, that head kick that dropped him to get the title in the first place. But that's not what he is. He's a tough guy, but he's very much like Muhammad in that he goes the distance. He's got 12 of his 22 wins for his career by decision, and 6 of his last 7 have gone the distance. So that's the way to look for this one. By decisions, minus 210 on BetMGM to get to round 5 and start round 5 is minus 275. So they're expecting this to go all the way. There isn't even a total rounds because they're thinking it's going at least into the 5th, if not all the way. Edwards minus 275 is my pick. I think that as good as Muhammad is, I called for him to get a title shot years ago when Usman was holding the belt and just fighting the same guys over and over again. But I think that Edwards, a little younger, a little faster, a little nastier. I think he's going to win it. I'm going to go with Edwards by decision at even money. If you want to get even better odds, try to play a little money here on either to win by split decision or majority decision, because obviously if it goes all the way, putting in the judges' score in their hands and their scorecards isn't always a guarantee. So that could be plus 325 if you want to splash a little bit on that to try it.
So Aspinall and Blades are the heavyweights fighting for Aspinall's belt. And the winner, allegedly, and I heard Dana White say the winner will fight the Jones-Miocic winner.
Yeah, well, they have to because Aspinall holds an interim, championship belt. Of course, John Jones holds the main belt, the actual belt. So if you get one of these guys going to walk away with the belt, you got to unify them afterwards. And these are the top guys in that division outside of John Jones, and Stipe Miocic. So that makes sense for them to fight. It's also a rematch and also a fight that we didn't get to see the end of because they fought a couple of years ago and Aspinall blew his knee out in the first 15 seconds. So this is one where, Aspinall wants this fight, even though he holds the belt. He's got to come in with a chip on his shoulder. That's the only loss in his UFC career is that knee getting blown out against Curtis Blades. Blades is a guy who's 13-4 in the UFC. He's got a lot of KOs on his record, but don't be fooled by it. He's a smotherer. He takes guys down. He grapples with them, holds the record for the most ever takedowns in a heavyweight fight where he had like 14 against Volkov. He takes guys down and then eventually ground and pound you to win. That's how he gets the KO, but that's not, the stand-up, knockdown fighter that you would assume when you see that many knockouts on his record. Coming off a win over Almeida, Almeida just sold out for the takedown. It was just, all he had to do was hammer fist the guy the whole fight because the guy was just sitting there trying to single leg him the whole time. Going against Aspinall, 7-1 the UFC. 11 of his 14 wins for his career by KO, TKO. But he's not just a knockout artist. This guy has 100% takedown defense in his UFC career. He's never been on his back. So Curtis Blades wants to put him on the back. Aspinall's not going to let him. He's from that area. He's from England, from Manchester. He wants to put on a show. He wants to prove that he's better than Blades after that, unfortunate injuries. Won both his fights since. Taking Aspinall, he's minus 400, so not worth betting it that way. I'm going to go by KO, TKO, minus 175 for Aspinall. They think it's going to end by KO. It's minus 375 for either guy to get the knockout win. Under 1.5 rounds is minus 190 because Aspinall has never even gone past the second round. So I'm going to play Aspinall by KO, TKO in round 1 for minus 120. Or you could go round 2 for plus 650 or round 3 for plus 1,300. So he gets out of there quick usually. Probably round 2 is the better play for value-wise, plus 650, because if he knocks him out in that second round like he does a lot of other guys, then you have a situation where you get good plus money.
How about Patty the Batty Pimblett against King Green?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Patty Pimblett, of course, well-hyped, but hasn't really fought anyone big. The biggest guy he fought was Togi Ferguson, who's on his way out. Bobby Green's a tough guy. He might be a decent underdog, but who I like even more as an underdog play, you got Arnold Allen, minus 225 favorite. The guy's lost his last 2 fights against Giga Chikadze. Chikadze's a dangerous dude. This guy doesn't mess around. He'll go against anybody, anytime. He's a plus 185 underdog, and you can even play that that he wins by split or majority decision plus 1,100 if you want to splash a little bit on that. I just think that this guy's too dangerous to be a big underdog to a guy who's lost his last 2 fights, even if he is at home.
Well, Mafia, put it on X, all of your picks, and on SportsGrid so everyone can know what to bet on for Saturday with 304. Thanks. Great job.
I would imagine if you think the salaries are big now, what kind of salaries are we looking at on an 11-year, $76 billion media rights deal?
This deal puts so much more money in the owners and the players' hands. Folks, this is about national media rights. So you're going to have more national appearances than ever.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Are there any grave issues that would keep Team USA from winning a gold medal?
Should they be minus 430 against the field or whatever the price is right now? Maybe. But am I looking at, hey, Europe as a continent to win the Olympics at plus 500 as an interesting bet? Yeah, because one, they have 5 teams in the Olympics out of the 12.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The Yankees are desperate. I mean, they could fire hitting coaches and everything else, but it's not working. So I don't know if Cashman really would do that. They seem to be so, tight-knit, but something's got to happen.
A big award or a big prize in the trade deadline sweepstakes would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr., right? Vladdy, put him in the middle of the lineup.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
They scored well. They defended like crap. Last game, they struggled to score. They defended great. We still have not seen the best out of USA basketball. So they've shown they've won different ways. They still should win absolutely the gold medal. But they're playing with fire a little bit with their play, especially when you get to the medal round and it only takes is one game to lose.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we'll get to leftovers here in a second. I just want to remind everyone that Carver High's birthday is Sunday. It is a national holiday. Carver High and I go back to back. His is the 28th, mine is the 29th. So Monday I will be doing a birthday special on Coast to Coast. And the only reason it's special is that I should be dead. That I'm having a birthday is my birthday present because they told me I should have been dead when they cut my chest open and operated on my heart. Somehow I'm alive. So I guess having a birthday is the only thing to be excited about, that I'm having one. And I hope you have an excellent birthday with no heart problems.
Yeah, another year under the sun is really what it comes
true.
down to. Another year under the sun for both of us. Great stuff there. Leftovers for you. Ohio State spent $20 million on NIL last year. What did it get them? Not much. Didn't get them
Nothing.
much. Didn't beat Michigan. Georgia wide receiver Rodrius Thomas arrested on family violence charges. This is Thomas's second arrest since joining Georgia in 2023. I'm going to ask you again because, unfortunately, we do these stories every week. What the hell is going on down in Georgia? And every week we got somebody else.
This guy, the first time he got arrested, he trapped some chick in a dorm room and held her against her will, wouldn't let her leave the room, and they busted him for that. Somehow he got those charges dropped, and now this is what I'm hearing today is this arrest has to do with family violence. This is like abuse of a kid. This is like what I'm hearing is that he allegedly abused a kid, a child. So they got a bunch of morons playing football down there. You know what? They're all criminals, it appears. They all reckless drive and apparently beat children and everything else. And then Kirby Smart tells you how he's got such a great bunch of kids. All they care about down there is winning football games and winning national championships and that stupid dog that they parade around every year. That's all they care about. That education down there, it's so hard to get into Georgia. That's a joke, too. Bunch of hillbillies.
Uga 9, or whatever they're up to.
Hillbillies.
The Summer Olympics, of course, begin today. We've been talking about the opening ceremonies. You can see them tonight, I guess, on the tape delay. Olympic sports you can bet on. Look at this list. I mean, you get it all here, Scotty. I mean, you got the judo, you got the badminton, you got the beach. I put in a slip on the beach volleyball.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of ass involved there.
Listen to who I got. I'm going to tell you who I got in the beach volleyball. You got to give me a moment. Hold on, here we go. I got it. Kristen Nuss and Taryn Clough, the USA ladies on the beach volleyball at plus 230 to take the gold. Let's go. I put that slip in last night. I'm ready, Scotty. I'm not as in as Gabe is, but I'm in for the Olympics.
Look at that. Skateboarding. I can't believe I can't bet on surfing. What is going on there?
Surfing. I guess because they're having that on the other side of the world. All right, Canada fires the women's coach, Bev Priestman, after the drone scandal. The Big 12 and the SEC will each have all 16 of their teams participate in the postseason basketball tournaments. Canelo and Edgar Berlanga, Tomato Can, agree to fight September 14th in Vegas. This arrest is Lonnie Lara to face Danny Garcia on the undercard, and Canelo will be stripped of his IBF 168, I guess, due to all of this.
Wow, those are just fantastic fights that no one wants to watch. It's time for the Ferrall finish. A massive brawl at the Yankee-Met game. Did you see that one with the Mets fans and Yankee fans going at it in the concourse? A massive, hands being thrown, haymakers, headbutts, gouging, you name it. The French rail lines disrupted by coordinated sabotage. They set fire to all the trains going to Paris today. French police cracking down on prostitution at the Paris Olympics. There are all kinds of ladies of the night working the streets of Paris trying to make some money. Neo-Nazi maniac murder cult leader plotted a New York City attack on minorities with poison candy toting Santa. My man is a neo-Nazi maniac murder cult, poison candy toting Santa, delivering the people poison. Gonna start it up in New York City. An Oakland woman eyed as a suspect in Thailand's cyanide poisoning. She invited 6 people to dinner in her hotel suite and gave them all cyanide-laced drinks, and they all died, and no one ate any of their food at the table. They showed all the food and drinks sitting at the table after everybody's bodies had been taken out of the room. GTD is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com. Check out Profitable.tv. It's where I put all the pics on video, and there's cussing on it. We'll see you Monday at 3 on Coast to Coast.